Leonard Williams is already wrecking run and pass plays for the Seattle Seahawks defense. Pete Carroll called him the classic 3 technique, and we're going to explore exactly what he meant by that. It's been a solid statistical start for Williams as he gets up to speed, 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss over his first 2 games. But truly, when he cost, a second-round pick in 2024, a fifth-round pick the following draft cycle, maybe you'd expect a bit more. I know he's playing on the vet minimum. But the tape, oh my gosh, the tape, that shows his impact's been far greater. It's not the first time the Seahawks in that Pete Carroll, John Schneider era have had a tall 3 technique. Remember, Tony McDaniel was 6'7", and he was part of a legendary defense, wasn't he? However, McDaniel's that kind of undrafted NFL journeyman type dude, whereas Williams brings a genuine premium factor to the 3 technique defensive tackle position, playing over a guard. We've got great pass rush setup, great single block, and great combination block playing to look at. And he does all of this kind of stuff with the classic 3 technique kind of style that Pete Carroll spoke about when Seattle acquired him. So up first, we have that highlight play, that 3rd and 4th sack of Sam Howell. This was just a case of Seattle playing in their even front, but with basically both A-gaps mugged by Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks, getting Williams into a one-on-one situation, and he takes advantage of his one-on-one. You see here how Washington, they decide to play man, a pass protection scheme to this look. Man, 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 man. That gives Williams an opportunity to take a 2-way go on the guard, so he can go either to the inside or to the outside, or with his size, he almost gets a 3-way go because he can power through guys right down the middle. But as we just play this clip through, here's Williams, gets underneath the pads of the guard, gets in for the sack. This end zone angle's nice. You see he takes the chest of the guard. If you think how wide the guard's set, there's 2 steps outside. That's creating a big room in this kind of A-gap area for Williams to attack. And there he goes. Nice look here, gets his 34 and 5, 1/8 of an inch long arms into the guard. Great stuff. Fairly early in the Baltimore game, Williams also had impact as a pass rusher. Now, this is a difficult situation for him. Seattle's in their base defense, and they're only going to rush 3 players on the play. They're going to drop off on here. It's kind of a common thing they do against mobile quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. But they're going to drop off both outside linebackers, and then the 3-man rush is these interior 3 guys. This here is Leonard Williams. You'll see here how he just is able to power and knock someone over. Now, in a 3-man rush situation, especially off play action, technically his job would be to contain the pocket, but ultimately you're trying to get an impact knowing that you only have 3-man rush, and he gets a very tough situation, which we'll talk about. Now, you can see here the power of Williams and how this is a difficult spot for him pass protection-wise. They're moving the pocket this way to sell the play action, and then they're pulling the guard around. So even though he does get to the outside of his lineman here, he's also got another guy to contend with who, rather than going out to the edge out here, because Clark is dropping, there's not much hope for Williams. He almost gets doubled. But for him to still impact his play, knock over the tackle that he ends up kind of drifting towards, and how he's able to knock him over is, I believe, he's a great arm placement down the chest and the V of the neck. It looks as though he pushes back the guard into the leg of the puller, so he's kind of using the protection against them. For Lamar Jackson, that prevents him from looking downfield here. That's like, I need to get out of the pocket now because I'm in big trouble. And this is not an easy assignment for Williams. But from this position, he's able to really impact the play, get underneath the pads again. And Lamar's just a great player too. So when he's got the one-on-ones or he needs to be a force himself in the pass rush, he's doing some great things. But as this 2nd and 10 against Washington shows, Williams is really helping his teammates get opportunities too. That was Jaron Reed just missing Sam Howell and then Williams. And Griff spoke about this in his video after Seattle made the move for Williams. Often teams were sliding their protection when Seattle was in this forefront, their most used front, where you got these four guys. Often teams were sliding their protection towards the nose tackle, Jarran Reed. So they were going like this, and then out here. So this was the side that they'd put three offensive linemen to, and then this side they'd play man protection on this guy and this guy. But with Williams playing him one-on-one, as we saw versus a guard, his ability to get an inside move, that's kind of a risky proposition. So for teams now, and it's no critique on Draymond Jones, but for whatever reason, we've started to see teams start to slide towards Leonard Williams. That creates opportunities for Jarran Reed. They have a genuine choice to have to make. And as we play this through, you can see how Seattle, perfect thing to run between these two, they run a tackle-tackle exchange. Just watch how these two separate for each other. So there's the center, more interested in going to Williams. Reed is sliding down, and the guard can't really block down on that type of angle because Reed's aligned so tight as a one technique. It's a really tough block for the guard. Reed's able to get skinny through. Meanwhile, the center is interested in getting towards Leonard Williams. This guard has a really tough block on Jarran Reed. Reed's able to squeeze through on his tackle-tackle game. Meanwhile, because the guard is trying to recover on this really tight block, Williams on his stunt, going as the second looper, he's able to get around into the backfield as well. And one thing you'd see from that compilation at the start as well, his tackling could improve slightly. There's a few opportunities which he's missed. Maybe he can get up to speed with that. But ultimately, this is real good disruption, moving Howell off his spot. It was a crucial moment in the game. And you notice that's how the almost pick happened, because he's just uncomfortable. He's trying to stay alive in the pocket. It's just ferocious out there. It's a war zone. Now, on Boye Maffei's record-breaking sack, that 3rd and 10, 7 consecutive sacks franchise record, again, the presence of Williams shows up. And Pete Carroll mentioned how he's a massive thing in the B-gap. Look how he swallows up this B-gap here on the tackle-end exchange game. And Maffei's just got so much room. Now, there's a bit of a technique that I want to talk about on this play as well. But if we just talk about the scheme first, again, Seattle's in their even, or I've seen it called green, but it's 2-3 techniques. And then they have Bobby Wagner kind of lingering to try and force the man pass protection. What ends up happening is they slide their offensive line towards Wagner's side here. What does that mean? It means they've got the one-on-ones on this side, and generally you want to run those pass rush games to where you've got the one-on-ones, because like a slant flat against man pass coverage or pick and roll in basketball, when you've got the isolation stuff, you can separate against that by picking and rubbing and etc., etc. And you'll notice here how against the one-on-one, Williams just carves open that B gap. Nice, strong swipe with the hands away. And then look at this subtle outside arm getting involved to pull the back of the pads of the guard to prevent him from being able to pass this off. Meanwhile, he's such a big body presence that his butt basically gets the tackle, being able to prevent him from getting around to Maffei. So Maffei, remember, he's got all of this to work with. That is for Maffei's athletic ability, that's a simple proposition, but excellent technique from Leonard Williams as well. How about this angle? You can see the kind of swipe away of the hands, the rip through. Well, he sort of thinks about ripping through and then gets his, rather than ripping through to set up the stunt, you can see that hand getting on the kind of back of the pads, the side of the pads, which is really, the guard at that point is doomed. Meanwhile, look at his butt getting involved into the tackle, trying to recover to Maffei's inside move. And obviously Maffei has the upfield speed to sell that to the tackle before slanting inside. So Williams creating opportunities for his teammates. So how about the run defense? Well, against combination blocks, so double teams, Williams is opening up opportunities for his teammates too. And he's just such a big presence in the B gap again. So here he is. He has a variety of ways of playing these combo blocks. We'll talk about the scheme on this play. So Seattle, when they're in their nickel over front, like they are here, which they use most often, they're often going to get teams looking to pull this guard around, block out here, seal up here, and then double team the 3 technique with this tackle then looking to try and climb up to Bobby Wagner, down block here, and you can see how that would create, in theory, that would create an alley in between Brooks and Bobby Wagner. So as we play that through, just watch how Leonard Williams absorbs this block and turns his body into the tackle. Now, this is what I believe is pre-snap recognition of what type of run they're getting, because he understands he's got to strike the guard, but he's going to get the combo from the tackle. Ultimately, the threat to Bobby Wagner is the tackle. This guard should never be able to pick Bobby Wagner with how Williams had aligned, but the tackle definitely could. Also with how Bobby Wagner aligned, right? Like, Wagner should be able to beat the guard there, but the tackle, possibly not. He's seen the guard pull and he's going with it. And Williams, by drifting sort of into the tackle, is able to then clear that up for Wagner to flow into that gap, unblocked for the contact on the running back. Now, if I just look to the wide copy again, it's a tough position for Williams, where he strikes, but you'll notice his ability to recover. He doesn't actually get moved back much, and there's also like a kind of churn and resetting of the feet where he gets moved back by like maybe 1 yard. It's really impressive football. See it from this angle, solid strike, and then ability to turn into that tackle combination, not get moved too much. But crucially, look how easy Wagner's job is of keying his triangle of this guard to the back. Super, super easy for him. Let's go to the Baltimore game, this 2nd and 4 play. A slight slip from Williams here, but he's able to get his cleats back into the turf and recover. Now, let's talk about the run concept again. What Williams did is important. So they're pulling around here, Baltimore. There's obviously the threat of Lamar keeping the football, but there's the handoff to the back, and then a lot of just sort of down blocks down here like this. Williams really is getting the combination block as the 3 technique in over fronts. It's often going to happen when teams are looking to run to the strong side. Watch his play on the play, striking the guard very thick, understanding he's getting that kind of combo from the tackle, but he's able to get his cleats in the ground and not move back. And even with how low he gets, there's kind of a second surge which shows up in his game. Now, how does that impact the second level? Well, watch Jordan Brooks. Now, he's obviously very worried about Lamar Jackson, and often, frustratingly in this game, Seattle seem to end up with 2 people on the backside at times. Not relevant, but you can see here, even with Brooks late to get along with the pulls because he's worried about Lamar Jackson, even with Clark back here as well. But watch how Brooks, this guy is trying to pick off Jordan Brooks, and he should be able to do it because Brooks hasn't moved, whereas the tackle is already, started on his combination block while Brooks is still clearing whether the football's being handed off. So the tackle should be able to get Brooks, but if we watch how Williams is able to get that out, the near foot on the guard into the ground and turn his pad into the tackle, Brooks is then able to get outside of this tackle into where the runner was going. And if Derek Hall hadn't made a really impressive play here, I think, Brooks is unblocked into the point of attack and the hole. So, I mean, this is just nuts from Williams. It looked like he was losing at first, but it's that ability to recover, get really low, get his cleats in the ground still and strain upwards and push through with that pad level. Wow. That surge showed up on this 1st and 10 against Baltimore too. Here, Seattle's in their bare front, their base 3-4 front. And you'll notice this looks innocuous at first, but again, it's the combo block. He's looking this time on the play to sort of really turn and try and split the double if he can, but they're tightened up their splits. They're not allowing that. But the running back trips over because Williams, from this turned position, playing the kind of tackle combo block with the guard, is able to churn from this point here and push back the tackle into the back. And the back really didn't expect that to happen. The line of scrimmage is reset, and that trips up the runner. Good look at the end zone angle. So Williams playing as the 3-tech. He knows the run's likely to go this way because of the back alignment. He knows that if he's going to get comboed, this guard's probably trying to move this way and chip him with this guy helping out like this. A kind of tight inside zone, slip combination block. But he's able to anticipate that, and look how the tackle gets pushed back into the back. I mean, this is a really unique way of playing. I haven't seen many guys able to do this in the NFL. A lot of the time, you'd see them try and just stay on the guard and let this guy chip and climb, keeping Wagner free. But Williams' ability to kind of vary up and then recover from those positions with his bending the knee, dropping the knee, and then, he's still technically in his B gap, isn't he, as well? Very, very impressive. So another 1st and 10 here, and we saw how Williams was looking to split doubles, kind of, if the split had allowed it. Well, here he is able to split the double team. So that is because of how their split slightly got wider, and this is a case of surprise to the running back. So you see the running back starts on this side of the formation, so Williams is anticipating a run in this direction generally. So you see he's kind of looser as a 3 technique. As the running back shifts sides, watch how Williams tightens up slightly. And also, generally, the tighter a alignment player, a shade player can play, the better they are. And Williams plays super tight. Think about it. As a 3 technique, your job is to hold your B gap. And so the one thing you cannot do is get hooked or reach blocked by the guard. So the lesser a player, the wider you'd line. You'd line up here because if you don't want him to reach block you, you just line up further outside of him. But you still have the B gap. But for him to be able to line up so tight in the NFL world speaks to his ability. So here, anticipating that it's run away from his position like this, and he has to still strike the guard. He knows the tackle's probably going to combo him, especially with how wide the edge is. He tightens up his alignment, and you'll just notice a really solid strike. The splits are too wide. He creates enough daylight to be able to slip through, and for the runner, that's a real problem because he was hoping to cut off this combo. Now it actually forces him to bubble a bit more, and he ends up getting some yardage because there was some other things going on, but it's not much yardage. But this is also a kind of wrecking run play. By the run design, they're hoping to block out on the nose, get the double here, pass the guard, pass Williams off to the tackle, get some real good wash and movement on this position, and then have the back press the hip of the center, and then either be able to just cut it up this A gap or cut it back off the double. But the back doesn't really get to have the decision. There's not enough movement on this 3 technique here. He's right in where he's trying to read. He's immediately forced to cut back. It means Brooks is completely free to read it basically immediately. So it kind of wrecks the offensive design. Now, not just splitting double teams, but on this 1st and 10 here, you see the kind of old school way of just striking the primary key, staying on the primary key for so long, and then drifting back into the B gap. And I spoke about how he's able to play thick to guys. Watch this. So again, running back starts on this side. Williams is here, a bit looser, but there's still quite an aggressive shade. As the running back shifts, Williams tightens up slightly his split. Watch how he's able to stick to the guard. So thick, because remember, he's got this B gap here. This A gap's not his gap, but by playing nice and thick, it means it's very hard for this tackle to come and combination block him. The tackle's almost thinking, I've got to go here. The tackle attempts a chip, but because Williams has kept his outside pad well away from him, he's in the A here, but he's then able to rock back into his B gap when the running back cut there and make the tackle. This is just high level 3 technique play. Unreal kind of stuff here. It's almost 2-gapping from the 3-tech spot, even though it isn't. It's just playing super thick, super ability. Good look at an alternative angle where you'll see him tighten down his alignment based off where the running back is. He anticipates. You can tell from the posture of this tackle as well, and Seattle will look at indicators like this that he's coming on the combo. You can tell from their splits as well how they're tight. Good strike into the chest. Keeping that outside pad down. That's kind of why you turn like that, to stop the outside pad being exposed for the combination block. Able to get that foot in the ground and rock back into his B with the running back cut. And again, they're looking to get movement on this 3 technique to then cut off the back of that. But there's nothing there. And the running back thinks, okay, well, he's in the A. I need to cut this back up here on the crease. Then I can get the block here. Williams just completely denies that. Unreal. So we've seen how effective Williams is against combination blocks, double teams. Well, it's no surprise that against single blocks, he's even more of a problem. So this 2nd and 5 against Washington, remember on this drive, they'd had some success with this kind of wide zone run to where the Y off tight end was. I mean, this is just wrecking the play. Now, I don't know if this is a called movement where a lot of the times you'll see Seattle as a way of kind of moving their front, kind of changing where the weak point is, changing the picture for blocking schemes. They'll just slant like this and like this, or even like this with their 2 players, the 3 tech and the outside backer. Sometimes they slow play it, but this is just Williams taking his shot, being super aggressive, and you see how it completely screws with their scheme because the guard was thinking, I need to try and reach block this massive man, outside step, quite a flat step as well, not even vertical. So the guard's left in recovery mode, kind of whiffs on Williams completely. He's too quick. Meanwhile, the center's thinking, I can go really flat and then up. Well, problem with that is Williams is already there. So the center's kind of dead as well. Running back sees this. He's aiming for this kind of tight end landmark here, but Williams is already cutting that off. He's kind of setting the edge of the defense, a new edge, but also with penetration in the backfield. Forces a cutback. All the blockers are blocking like this. The running back's already cutting back here. They're expecting the running back to kind of cut back at this spot, and the running back's at this spot. So it's kind of a disaster for their scheme. And then Seattle has the numbers here. Yeah, you'd like, Williams, if he can start making these tackles, that's when he'll become absolutely outrageous. But, I mean, to do that is already nuts. It just completely screws with what they're doing. It's cool how he's good enough to play short with his shoulder and then get the separation via this kind of arm over into the back after taking on the block. Really impressive. And against the Ravens too, this 1st and 10, Williams taking his one-on-one shots. This is just backdooring a guard. It's a similar kind of play. It's just the bare front gets him without the center being able to get towards him as well. So this guard's thinking, I need to try and reach block or hook him. Williams just gets vertical upfield, which is what this scheme's allowing these 3 technique players to do. Gets vertical upfield into the backfield, makes the running back bubble, kind of kills the play because also it enables Jordan Brooks to scream through unblocked. Yeah, you'd like him to make that tackle, but it's pretty nuts athleticism for his guy his size to be able to do stuff like this. And again, wrecking plays. Like, the wide zone is not supposed to have that happen on the front side. So this 1st and 10 is an example of him being given a movement and still being one-on-one. And also a look at how thick he's able to play on plays. So if you watch here, it looks as though he gets a pancake. There's actually some tripping getting involved, but the end zone angle is what really kind of stands out. So you'll see here, Seattle is moving their whole line. So they're moving, and the outside back is moving. And Williams is able to play so thick, he almost ends up taking away, while he's technically, aligned in the B, but he's technically got this A gap here. He plays so thick through the guard that he almost takes away both the gaps, but most importantly, amazing knockback on this kind of back block here. The guard trips over because he ends up contacting into his own player, but really he's desperately trying to seal this alley on a back block, but he hasn't really done that. He gets knocked over finally, and Lamar Jackson ends up pulling the football, but there's nowhere for him to go. Seattle has linebackers here, so Jackson sort of follows where the back's path was designed to be, and he ends up on his bum with less yardage. It's tackle for loss for Seattle because there's a complete wreck over here, and a lot of that is the work that Williams was able to do, basically playing so thick and heavy, removing everything. This is a great look at the technique of how he strikes right underneath the pads and is able to strain and torque his body upwards into the guard. All right, so finally, I believe this is a 1st and 10 too from that Baltimore game. Seattle's front, when it's nickel over, where they have that 3-tech, the 1-tech, when the tight end changes, they will bump over. They'll try and reset their strength. They want the 3-tech to the tight end side each time. Jaron Reed is usually the guy playing nose tackle, but as you can see here, they just slide along, and Williams is able to play as a 1 technique. One-on-one for centers, he's still a problem. He has the size to be able to do it, and I think it gives Seattle more versatility. For instance, like a Draymond Jones, you don't really want to be over a center in that position. You don't want him being comboed as much. So here, you'll notice how Williams just bumps over, and then he's just too much. He's just too much for the center. It's just stacking and shedding, understanding that what type of run he's likely to get, where the direction's likely to be, singled up on the center. This is super pad level, too much power, really quick move to get off the block. Beautiful stuff, joins the tackle in the backfield. So the cool thing about adding Williams is that it lets Draymond Jones play outside linebacker. Yeah, he's still staying on the field, but he's doing it in a role where they really need his kind of shot taking and skill set, given Uchenna Nwosu's out for the season, especially in the kind of run defense. So Jones ain't a bust, but Williams just brings an extra element to the 3 technique position that we've just seen. And it would be so nice if Seattle could keep him. I know he's bought a house in Seattle with the help of his realtor teammate, wide receiver Tyler Lockett. You know I'd call that an estate agent, right? But they need him long term. He's so impactful. But for now, hoping it's not just a half-season rental, I'm going to really enjoy the disruption that he brings to the middle of that Seahawks defense. It's so impressive. If you like this video, let me know down below. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And you can find me on Twitter at Matty F. Brown. You can also ask questions there too. Let me know what you thought of the usage of the pen, if that's useful, if it's annoying, etc., etc. Thank you.